correct implementation of tax policy is a job of experts and government and civil service. It is not the job of YouTubers. All right, so we'll do one on implementation of wealth taxes and how to reduce inequality. And the reason we have to do that is because we are like increasingly doing really well on narrative. We are influencing what the media talk about. We're influencing the debate on this. Like, we have a massive presence in the debate now. Governments are failing, especially the government here in the UK is really unpopular. They will have to do something or they will lose really badly in the next election. And increasingly, we are looking like quite well positioned to be the way that they might have to turn. So they might come to us and we might get something. And what worries me is there is like a phenomenal naivety at the moment in the way that people are talking about wealth taxes, basically. And basically the people seem to think that the government can just turn around and say, okay, let's do wealth taxes, let's tax the rich now, and things will be fixed, right? The truth is, and I've always said this, I've never tried to hide this, actually raising taxes on the rich is going to be really hard for a variety of reasons, right? One of the biggest reasons is obviously they control a lot of the media narrative, they can sell a lot of scare stories, if you tax us we'll leave, or they can do a lot of sort of personally attacking of me as an individual. But the truth is, there are things they can do and you need to deal with those things. Like, the truth is, they can leave, right? And I've always said, and I constantly believe, look at the Abramovich situation, which shows like, here's a rich man who tried to leave, and we just said, okay, well, you can leave, but if you're going to own British assets, we can tax British assets. And that's always been my comeback to that, and that is true. But you need to make sure that you have your legal systems in place. Like, people sometimes ask me, if you were Chancellor, what would you do? If you were Prime Minister, what would you do? And I always turn around and say, listen, goddamn, like, it's not that easy. The implementation and the design, the correct implementation and the correct design of this tax or these taxes, it has to be so good. It has to be really good. And I think a sensible government at this point would be calling me. The sensible thing to do is to call me up and say, all right, look, we get it, right? We see, like, the argument I'm making is correct. Inequality is increasing really quickly. The rich are rapidly increasing their wealth. It's squeezing everybody out. It's destroying the middle class. It's destroying the government. It's having and will continue to have like really destructive effects on living standards. You need to fix it. Like 100%, you need to fix it. The only way to really do that is to aggressively increase taxes on the rich. The truth is that's hard to do. So they should be calling me up and saying, listen, okay, we see it. You're right. We understand now. Okay, you don't deal with inequality. You're kind of fucked. But the rich are saying they're going to leave. We don't really. We don't think it's possible. You know what I mean? So then you call me up and you say, okay, all right, let's put the work in. We put the work in. We design this tax so that it's good, so that it's watertight. You look at things like what China does. China doesn't allow you to own a ton of Chinese wealth and live overseas. You ask the question, you realistically discuss the question, how much can the UK do by itself? Or realistically, do we need international cooperation? International cooperation is achievable. If you look at when we last significantly reduced inequality, it was in the aftermath of World War II, and it was done internationally. Everybody did it together, and it worked. The truth is, this would be difficult for the UK, specifically the UK. I think a massive country like the US would probably have an easier time, especially when you consider how many of the billionaires and the massive companies are based in the US. I think the US would have an easier time to do it by itself. I think a country like the UK could do some things by themselves, but like, why do it by yourself? This problem is happening everywhere. We have a massive opportunity to build something internationally here. But there's this like real childish naivety, which is like, okay, fine, just give it like, the big thing that you see, and this I think really encapsulates the childish naivety that I talk about, is people turn around to me and they say, okay, all right, show me the tax policy then. Show me the tax policy. I'm here in my kitchen, right, which is real, like with a massive YouTube channel. Like, I'm pretty obviously the world's biggest campaigner for wealth taxes, and I work hard, right? Do you think tax policies are usually made by YouTubers? Like, tax policy is not, we spoke about this in the tariffs video, right? Which is that the Trump tariffs had this similar vibe, which is like some random intern like bashed it together, or Cambodia. I thought, yeah, Cambodia, you know what I mean? Like, what is this idiocracy behavior? Listen, if you want good tax policy, you need to pay good fucking tax people, and you need to sit them in a room for a long fucking time, and you need to make sure they design that policy. Even if I was the fucking smartest guy in the world, you wouldn't want one fucking guy to design. This is not fucking. Do you remember that Little Britain, write the theme tune, sing the theme tune? It's like, you know, like, all right, you're the campaigner, right? You make it yourself then. What have we become as a country? Like, listen, if you want good tax policy, you need to pay proper tax experts for their expertise and their time. And you spend 2 years designing the tax policy. Obviously, it's idiotic, this approach. Listen, I would be more than fucking happy to be involved in making sure this tax policy is designed well, obviously. But the way that you do that is you get the tax experts, you talk to me, you talk to the other guys, you build a team of proper good tax experts, you think about the question of how do we deal with people who leave the country? Can we still tax them on the UK assets? Like we did to Abramovich, like China does. You look at how these issues were dealt with in the past. You look at how wealth inequality was reduced significantly in the 20th century. You have sensible discussions, but I'm constantly faced with these like idiotically simplistic discussions, which are totally bad faith, which is like, oh, okay, you've recognized that the ship's gonna sink. Well, why don't you fucking fix the hole your fucking self then, you fucking idiot? It's just unbelievably childish and it's unbelievably chaotic. Like, listen, we're supposed to be adult, grown-up, mature countries here. I have correctly identified a massive problem in our economy that is gonna devastate living standards if nothing is done about it. You need to fix that with well-designed tax policy, and well-designed tax policy takes experts and it takes money and it takes resources and it takes hard work. So, and that is the message. That is the message. So listen, we're winning the debate, and it's not just because of me, but that's because I've been focused on winning the fucking debate. Okay, implementation is going to be hard. You know, and I emailed just this week. I emailed Gabriel Zuckman, who is French economist, who I've got a lot of time and a lot of respect for. He's working on similar things. And I said to him, listen, dear Gabriel, we're winning the debate here. Who have we got working on implementation? You know what I mean? Because listen, I can't do everything by myself. You know what I mean? Correct implementation of tax policy is a job of experts and government and civil service. It is not the job of YouTubers. You know what I mean? And we need to win the debate and we need to win implementation. And you know, I want to be clear, right? I know I've campaigned for 2% on wealth of above 10 million, you know, that's what I do, that's what patriotic millionaires do, that would be good. But like, this is not like I've sat down and picked the perfect tax policy. And people sometimes criticize me like, oh, that form of wealth tax is not good, we need another form of wealth tax. I'm here for that. Like, let's have those discussions, let's build a tax policy, you know. But this kind of really stupid shutting down of the debate is, oh, you've correctly identified that our economy is going to be devastated, well, why don't you fix it? We need to grow up, basically. We need to grow up. But you know, the reason I'm here and I've finally done a video on implementation is because we're winning the debate. And I'm really proud of myself, and so should you be, the work you put on it, and so should everybody watching. Because this, what I think is really interesting about like our like increasing narrative victory here is people go on TV. So like when like, it's Neil Kinnock is his name, right? Is it Neil? When he went on TV recently and he was like 2% wealth tax above 10 million. That is exactly the wealth tax that I campaigned for, but he didn't say Gary Stevenson wealth tax. And he probably didn't hear it from me, right? Like, and we don't have a massive presence in the mainstream media. Like, the way that we do this is we feed it into the public and it comes up from the public to the newspapers and to the politicians. And like, I think it's kind of inspiring to show how much power the public has if they stick to a message, right? And if they're very clear on it. It shows that, like, you know, a YouTuber, you know, it's not just me, you know, I mentioned before, patriotic millionaires and all these other guys who do their good work. We can drive it up. We can drive it up through the people. But then, you know, if politicians turn around and say, oh, okay, great, let's just, you know, we're not going to provide the policy, you know. And we were speaking this week about, you know, maybe we could try and get some funding to get some tax. Like, I'll be honest with you, I'm busy here, you know what I mean? And it's stressful when I'm doing a lot of work and I'm really focused on narrative, and I think the work that we do here is really, really, really vital. So we were thinking about like getting some experts in to fund tax, to actually work on implementation and trying to get some money for that. But the honest truth is, it shouldn't be our job. It shouldn't be our job. And I know, like, you know, I do a lot of jobs that shouldn't be my job, but I would like to do a shout out to like governments, not just here in the UK, right? Because it's an international problem. Governments, and you know, real governments that want to fix the problems, you need to work, you need to fund the policy on tax work on this. Civil services across the country, including this country, think tanks. Listen, I'm working my tits off out here. Get your best people working on how we do this. And you know, I would love to help, and you know, if the UK government was to call me, I'd definitely make time for it. This is not Gary Stevenson saves the world, you know? You know, we need other people helping to design this. I'm 100% aware, and I've always been aware, effectively implementing tax on the richest people will be hard. I've never, ever, ever said anything else. And I know it was hard. And I knew from the start it would be hard. And if I'm honest, I never thought we'd get as far as we have already come. But I don't do this because it's easy. I do this because it's essential. This is as simple as that. It's as simple as that. If you don't want your country to collapse into poverty, you have to deal with this. We've got the people, we've got the experts, get them in a room together, pay them what they need, and get that tax policy sorted, and give it the time it needs. And I would like to see, you know, this is not a UK specific problem. I want to see politicians and economists and civil servants in Germany, in Italy, in Spain, in France, in Japan, in Australia. I would say America, but we're not likely to get them. Oh, and Canada, because they always complain that I don't mention them. And New Zealand, get a lot of those. Listen, what I'm looking for is like ruthless practicality and pragmatism. Yeah. How do we effectively get wealth back from the very rich, or at the very least, stop them from taking more of our wealth, which has an understanding of the fact that a lot of those rich are domestic, but a lot of those rich are also overseas. And they're immobile, and how do we deal with that? That is a thing that can be dealt with. It's been dealt with in the past. It can be dealt with again. And I will always say, when people say it's not possible, it was done in the 20th century. It was done in the 20th century, inequality was reduced massively, and we should look at how they did that.
On international cooperation, there is a minimum corporation tax now that was...
Yeah, I mean, that's Gabriel Zucman. I'm pretty sure that's Gabriel Zucman. And you know, I'm not the only guy out here. You know, I'm very visible. I've chosen the YouTube strategy. But you know, I mentioned Rebecca Gowland and Patriarch Millionaires, Gabriel Zucman, Thomas Piketty, Aaron Advani, and there'll be 1,000 other guys across the world doing this work. All of you boffins out there, tax experts, economists, start building these policies. Start building these policies. Once we've won this debate and I stop having to argue it again and again, I will come out there and I'll help you build the policy. But I can't do it myself. Implementation will be hard. You have to do it. I'll keep making the videos. Let's get you boffins to start making the policies. Listen, we've got 4 years in this country before the next election. Labour have got 4 years, but it's going to take 2 or 3 to get this right. So start moving. Thank you very much. Tax World's not work. Send it to your friends, send it to your mum. I'm done for the day.